The story of Jeremy Goyier is one that feels almost impossible to believe. A tale so extraordinary, it sounds more like a myth than a real-life journey. At just 14 years old, Jeremy is already a staggering 7 feet 6 inches tall. Let that sink in for a moment. He's not even in high school yet, and he already towers above every single player in the NBA. If you're watching him now, you might be looking at history in the making. Potentially the first 8-foot tall player the league has ever seen. The world has been amazed by tall basketball players before. First, it was Zakidi, who at 7'4" currently stands as one of the tallest active NBA players. Then came Olivier Ryu, a freshman phenom measuring 7'9", who not only shattered records, but also helped his college team win a national championship. For a while, it seemed like Ryu was destined to become the tallest NBA player ever, but in the same Canadian city, a new prospect was growing, literally, and his growth spurt this past summer has the basketball world buzzing. Jeremy grew 3 inches in just a few months, going from 7'3" to 7'6", and according to doctors, he isn't done yet. By the time he's eligible for the 2029 NBA draft, there's no telling how tall he'll be. He's currently ranked as the 3rd best player in the high school class of 2028, but in terms of viral fame, he's second to none. Millions have watched clips of him dominating his middle school competition, towering so high above his peers that they don't even bother jumping for the tip-off. The moment the referee throws the ball into the air, Jeremy simply reaches up and grabs it, like a man playing against children. But 2 questions linger in everyone's mind. First, is Jeremy actually any good at basketball? And second, could he truly reach the unheard of height of 8 feet? To understand just how incredible his size is, we need some perspective. At 14 years old, Victor Wembanyama, currently considered one of the NBA's most unique talents, and was only 6'10". The difference between Jeremy and Wembanyama at the same age is roughly the same as the difference between Kevin Durant and Steph Curry. That's how extreme Jeremy's height advantage truly is. Olivier Ryu, the player recognized by Guinness. World records as the tallest teenager in the world, was measured at 7'5" when he was 15. Jeremy, a full year younger, has already surpassed that. If he keeps growing at this pace, he could easily reach 7'10" or more, which would put him just 1 inch shorter than the tallest basketball player ever recorded, an amateur. Player named Abiodun Adegoke, who plays in Dubai and stands at a staggering 7'11". Should Jeremy continue his meteoric growth, he could become the first player to officially hit the 8-foot mark, a milestone no one in professional basketball has ever reached. But there's a strange paradox here. While his incredible height gives him unmatched potential, it also poses a massive risk to his future career. History has shown that players above 7'6" rarely thrive in the NBA. There have only been 9 players in league history listed at 7'5" or taller, and of those 9, only one, Yao Ming, became an all-star and true franchise player. Even legends like Manute Bol and Gheorghe Mureșan, who both stood at 7'7", played in an NBA very different from today's modern fast-paced game. The most recent giant, Taco Fall, also measured 7'6". Despite being a dominant college player, he played just 37 games in the NBA before moving overseas. The uncomfortable truth for Jeremy is this: every extra inch he grows could make his NBA dreams harder to achieve. The taller he becomes, the more challenging it will be for his body to handle the physical demands of the sport. His journey isn't just a waiting game to see how tall he'll grow. It's a race against time to develop the skills and athleticism needed to compete at the highest level before his size works against him. What makes Jeremy's story even more compelling is that unlike many of the tallest players in history, basketball isn't something he stumbled into just because of his height. Born in 2010, Jeremy began playing basketball when he was just 6 years old. His love for the game came long before anyone realized he'd grow into a literal giant. Some players like Robert Bobrovsky or Taco Fall were introduced to the sport, only because coaches saw their potential and convinced them to give it a try. Jeremy's passion has always been there. He idolized stars like Giannis Antetokounmpo and Nikola Jokic, not just dreaming of making the NBA, but of becoming one of the best players in the world. Even Jeremy's family was shocked by his rapid growth. When he hit 6'5" at just 10 years old, his parents worried there might be an underlying medical condition like gigantism. After numerous tests, doctors reassured them that his growth was natural and simply the result of genetics. Once those fears were put to rest, the focus shifted entirely to basketball. Jeremy's longtime coach remembers the moment he realized he was working with someone truly special. At 10 years old, most kids are barely tall enough to dunk on a lowered hoop, but Jeremy was already towering over everyone in the gym. His coach knew then that while height couldn't be taught, skill could, and Jeremy would need far more than just size to succeed at the next level. For years, Jeremy dedicated himself to improving his game. His breakthrough moment came at the MSH TV camp, one of the premier showcases for young talent. There, he didn't just dominate, he overwhelmed the competition. Imagine watching a grown man play against middle schoolers. Now amplify that image. Jeremy dunked effortlessly on kids who barely reached his waist. One of the top players at the camp, Tyson Butcher, stood at a mere 5 feet tall. Sharing the court with Jeremy was like battling a skyscraper. Even William Beckett, another highly touted prospect and one of the tallest 7th graders in the world at 6'5", looked like a small forward standing next to Jeremy. The highlight reel from that tournament was almost unfair. Game after game, Jeremy dunked, blocked shots, and ran the floor like someone half his size. But his biggest test came when he faced Jalen Akem, the #1 ranked player in Canada. The gym was packed with Division I scouts, everyone eager to see how the young giant would fare against top-tier talent. By the end of the game, it was clear that Jeremy wasn't just a viral sensation. He was a legitimate prospect with skills beyond his size. Despite his physical dominance, what impressed observers most was Jeremy's coordination and mobility. For a player so young and so tall, it's common to see awkward, stiff movements. Jeremy, however, moved smoothly and displayed surprisingly advanced footwork. While his highlight reels are filled with dunks, he also showed flashes of shooting, potential, ball handling skills, and even perimeter play. These glimpses suggest a foundation upon which serious development can be built. He hasn't peaked yet, physically or athletically, and as he matures, his body will stabilize, allowing for even greater improvement. Still, there's a challenge in evaluating Jeremy's true skill level. Against middle school competition, his sheer size makes it impossible to gauge his abilities accurately. At 14, he's 2.5 feet taller than the average kid his age. Naturally, he dominates, but that domination doesn't always translate when facing older, stronger, and more skilled opponents. Recognizing this, coaches decided to test him by moving him up to compete against older players. This summer, Jeremy represented Canada at the FIBA U16 AmeriCup, a prestigious international tournament featuring the best young talent from across the Americas. At just 14, he was one of the youngest players there, facing athletes 2 years older and far more physically developed. While he didn't light up the scoreboard, his presence was felt. Against teams like Puerto Rico and Brazil, he contributed valuable minutes, showcasing that he could hold his own even at a higher level of competition. Canada advanced all the way to the gold medal game, where they eventually fell to Team USA, a roster stacked with future NBA lottery picks. For Jeremy, the experience was invaluable. His stats, 2.5 points, 4.3 rebounds, and half a block per game, may seem modest, but they reflect a player still finding his footing on the international stage. Compared to Olivier Ryu, who also played for Canada at the same age, but with more experience, Jeremy's performance showed promise. He didn't just survive. He learned, adapted, and proved he belonged. Looking ahead, the next major step in Jeremy's journey will likely be moving to the United States to attend a prestigious prep school like IMG Academy. Known for producing elite athletes and specializing in developing exceptionally tall players, IMG has a proven track record. Alumni like Satnam Singh, Olivier Ryu, and Zakidi all came through its program, benefiting from world-class facilities, personalized nutrition plans, and specialized coaching. If Jeremy chooses this path, it could set him up perfectly for a future college career and, eventually, the NBA. However, his future isn't set in stone. His father has hinted that they're also considering overseas development programs, which could provide different opportunities and experiences. Ultimately, Jeremy's path will depend on how he grows, both literally and figuratively, over the next 4 years. There's no denying that Jeremy Goyier has captured the imagination of basketball fans around the world. Will he become the next generational prospect, a #1 draft pick in 2029, and perhaps the first 8-foot player in NBA history? Or will his story be one of those viral sensations that fades away as quickly as it rose to prominence? It's impossible to say right now. What we do know is that we'll be watching every step of his journey, witnessing history in real time. So, what do you think? Could Jeremy's extraordinary height make him unstoppable, or will it ultimately limit his career? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and if you've made it this far, don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more deep dives into the future stars of the game. Jeremy's story is only just beginning, and you won't want to miss what happens next.